Morning, Wall Street winners. It is Wednesday, January 22nd, and the markets are off to a roaring start. A lot going on. Netflix had some incredible results after market close yesterday. That stock shot up $122 per share. Just an incredible bump and increase based on the sales growth that they continue to see and just the overall growth the company sees, which took me by a bit of a surprise. Just wondering how they're able to achieve these levels of growth, but they continue to do it quarter after quarter, and the markets were extremely happy. You can see in the three US indices here that all three are in the green. The NASDAQ up the most, almost 1%. A lot of that, I think, really due to Netflix, but also the announcement coming out of the White House yesterday with Donald Trump and Larry Ellison, the Sam Altman from OpenAI, and I think his name is Masa from SoftBank, announcing a huge investment, $100 billion in AI infrastructure, possibly 500 billion over 4 or 5 years. So they're really pounding hard on the AI drum here in the White House and showing that they can bring business back to North America. Not that the business has left per se, but ensuring that new business is being developed and industry growth is starting here. That's lifting all semiconductor stocks. As well as Oracle. Oracle is up 10% this morning in the pre-market. So if we take a look across the screen here in the Yahoo Finance app, we have crude oil is down at almost just under $76. So this is a $5 drop in really about a week's time. So that's a significant amount. And oil stocks haven't been tremendously affected. They are lower this morning, and they had a bit of a difficult day yesterday, but they're really holding their ground, which is a bit of a surprise to me, based on the drop in crude. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We do have there's their NASDAQ futures and the VIX. The VIX is below 15. So let's get into it. If we go through health and retail, Costco had an okay day. I mean, it was in the green yesterday. It's in the green in the pre-market today. Lulu was off yesterday. I think it's going to come back today, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, You've got Dollar General. Dollar General was up yesterday, but is down near kind of its 1 year lows. You have ATD, that Couche-Tard company that was attempting to buy 7-Eleven, that didn't materialize, down at 76. This is coming into earnings, I believe, fairly soon. Oh, it's in March. Okay, so it's not soon, but I think Couche-Tard is an interesting one if you're looking for something in retail, and if you're a U.S. or global citizen and want to diversify outside of your country, I think this could be an interesting play within Canada. You've got Home Depot up $9 yesterday, and then all the others, Nike, and then your health, all had good days yesterday and were in the positive. The transport as well were in the positive yesterday. So JB Hunt coming off of its recent low after its bad earnings announcement this quarter. And then we get into oil, mostly red across the screen here in oil. And we're seeing the same thing red in the pre-market based, I think, on where crude futures are. The one thing to keep an eye on today, and the one exception to the red, is Kinder Morgan. Kinder Morgan reports after hours today. So keep an eye on Kinder Morgan. It is expected that they will beat results. So we'll have to see how much and if they beat, and if they do, by how much, and then see whether that can be extrapolated to other oil refining companies to see what those look like, because we do have a lot of those coming out next week. Then we get down into tech, and tech is just pretty much green across the board, with the exception of Apple and a couple of others. NVDL is up 440 this morning. So that's hopping on the NVIDIA bump that it got through the SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI announcement last night at the White House. We've got Applied Materials up. Texas Instruments is reporting tomorrow, and this one is down pre-market, but only slightly, 18 cents. I do expect some good results. They usually have a pretty positive earnings surprise at Texas Instruments. So this is going to be one that I'm going to be watching today going into earnings tomorrow. Micron is up, looking like it's going to cross the 110 mark today, which it was at prior to its earnings, which were poor in the December timeframe, so last quarter, but towards the end of that quarter. order. And then as we scroll down, Reddit was on a tear yesterday, up 12, $13. Again, that's a stock that I just can't get behind, but it seems to be on a rocket ship trajectory. You've got CRM hovering in the 330 area there. And then as we move down, Net, one of your cybersecurity companies, that's going to be announcing, I believe, fairly soon. It's going to come out on February 6th, so it's coming up in a couple of weeks. It is up into the 220s today, or sorry, 120s today. This is a stock that was a $90 stock a couple of months ago. So that's a pretty big move forward. They did have a couple of analyst upgrades to that stock within the last month. And not that that necessarily has an impact, but it's certainly gaining some momentum. Microsoft and Airbnb down yesterday, but up in the pre-market. Looks like Microsoft's going to blow past their 430 kind of resistance level. So that going in earnings next week could mean that we could see with some good earnings that stock pop up into the 445s, maybe even 460 level. ARM is just a rocket ship in the pre-market, up almost $10, up $6 yesterday, back in the 155s, even after losing the lawsuit with Qualcomm. It's pretty hard to knock that company down right now with everything going on in the AI sector. AMD's got a bit of a lift. You have Workday up, Qualcomm up. What else are we looking at? Netflix. Look at the big one here. Netflix up $132 now in the pre-market. This is just insane. What a great stock to get into yesterday. I missed that one. I was on the fence and decided not to risk it. And boy, look at that. That's crazy. And then we've got Meta, and Meta up today almost 750. No real news behind that or why it would be up, but really just it's been a bit of a laggard recently. So maybe it's just playing a bit of catch up. You've got Nvidia up $4.36. The other one that's been a laggard lately is Google. Although it's up into the 199, 200 range, it really hasn't moved as much as some of the other Mag 7 stocks. I mean, especially looking at Tesla, if we scroll back and where was Tesla here? If we take a look at what Tesla's been doing, it's been on a bit of a tear. Here it is, bit of a tear as well. Down yesterday, but up in the 424 range, now down at 418 after yesterday, with earnings out in 7 days. And I have to say, I can't expect the earnings are going to be amazing from Tesla in 7 days, based on where car sales are in the marketplace these days. But we'll have to wait and see what Elon can pull out of his sleeve. And then we scroll down to financials, and they've been having a great couple of weeks with the start to earnings season, most of them having made some pretty significant gains. We had Zion Bank come out with some earnings, I believe it was yesterday, where they reported, and they're up slightly. I mean, they were down at or in around the low 50s in the last 2 weeks, and now they're up in 59. So they've made a good little increase there. Charles Schwab again came out earlier this week with good earnings. They were up $5 yesterday, or 4.5. It looks like they're up today. This was one I played yesterday, so interesting. It popped in the morning, as you can see here, and then it dropped. So I held off on buying it on the pop and thought, you know what? I think it's going to come down. I put in an order for 78.50, and sure enough, around noon, a little before noon, it went through. I picked it up at 78.50 and just rode that back up and then sold it when it got back up into the 80s. So that was a nice little gain. It wasn't a $4 gain, but it was a nice percentage gain. So that's one of the things that I look for, is if a stock makes an announcement and earnings are positive, oftentimes in the beginning of the session, after the market opens in the first, let's call it 1 to 2 hours, the stock will pop, and it will often climb, and then it'll find its resistance level, and it'll come off of that and come back down. And if you look at where that stock is trading, or where it's been bouncing around in the pre-market, you can often find an entry point. So I put in a buy order based on a level 78.50, where it was hitting in the pre-market. And sure enough, it came back down to that. I got in, and then it turned and it went back up, and I managed to make a profit there. So not all stocks that have great earnings announcements maintain that momentum all session long. So keep an eye out for if they do come back. Now, you wouldn't want to buy it if the whole